You know that feeling you get when you're talking to your cat and you just kind of get the sense that they're understanding way more than they let on? Well, today we're going to dig into the science and find out what's really getting through that furry little head.
I mean, sure, we all know the sound of a treat bag is basically a cat magnet. They'll come running from anywhere. But what about our actual words? Well, some really amazing new research suggests they get a whole lot more than we've ever given them credit for. And get this, there's one incredibly common word you probably use every single day that might actually be damaging the bond you have with them. And you might not even realize it. So yeah, let's get right into it.
Okay, revelation number one. Let's start with the most fundamental, the most personal word they learn, their name. Now, I know what you're thinking. They're just ignoring you when you call, right? Well, the science tells a very, very different story.
The whole game really changed back in 2019. There was this groundbreaking study out of Japan, led by a researcher named Atsuko Saito, and it completely turned what we thought we knew about cats and language on its head. And what they found was just remarkable. It turns out cats aren't just reacting to the sound of your voice in general. They can specifically pick their own name out of a whole series of other words, even words that sound almost exactly the same. They know that word is theirs.
Which, of course, brings us to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? If they know their name, why do they so often just give you that slow blink and then casually walk in the other direction?
And this really gets to the core difference between cats and dogs. I mean, dogs have been bred for centuries to cooperate and obey. They hear a command, and their instinct is to respond. But cats? That was never part of the deal. When your cat hears its name, it's not a command, it's an invitation. And they're making a calculated choice, weighing the pros and cons in their head. Is responding to this worth my time right now? All right, on to our second word. This is one that pretty much every pet owner uses, but, well, it's loaded with potential problems. We're talking about the word no.
Now, here's the crucial thing you have to get. Your cat has zero concept of what the word no actually means. They don't understand the definition. What they're responding to is the tone. That sharp, sudden, maybe a little angry sound you make, to them, that's just a startling, negative noise. It's an alarm bell. And this is where it gets really tricky. If you yell no all the time, your cat doesn't learn, oh, I shouldn't scratch the sofa. They just learn, oh, my human is sometimes a source of scary, stressful sounds. You're not actually teaching discipline. You're just teaching them to be afraid of you. So what's the right way to do it? Well, the key is to use it sparingly. Save it for when it really matters. A firm but calm no with no yelling is all you need. And then, and this is the most important part, you have to immediately redirect their attention to something they can do. So if they're on the couch, a calm no, then pick them up and put them on the scratching post. That's how they learn without breaking your bond. Okay, enough of the serious stuff. Let's move on to something a little more fun. Revelation number 3. What is that one magic word, the one that can make your cat appear out of thin air? Come on, you know it. It's treat. But it's not magic, my friends. It is pure, simple science. Your cat learned this word through a little process called classical conditioning. You probably remember Pavlov and his famous dogs, right? It's the exact same principle. When a specific sound is followed by a specific reward again and again, the brain builds an automatic, lightning-fast connection between the two. I mean, just think about it. You never sat them down with vocabulary flashcards. All you did was make the sound, treat, and then immediately give them the reward, over and over. Their brilliant little brain did all the hard work, forging that powerful link between the sound and the delicious result. And what's really cool is how this whole thing expands. It's not just the word treat. Your cat's brain builds this entire web of associations. It's the squeak of a particular cabinet door, the unmistakable crinkle of that one specific bag, maybe even the sound of your footsteps at a certain time of day. It all becomes part of the signal. Okay, prepare to have your mind just a little bit blown. This next one might be the most surprising of all. If you happen to have more than one cat, well, your furry friend hasn't just been learning its own name. They've been listening to you talk to everyone else too. So back in 2022, a study from Kyoto University absolutely stunned the animal behavior world. Researchers found that cats living in multi-cat households actually learn the names of the other cats they live with. Just wow. And the way they figured this out was just genius. They'd have a cat listening while a researcher said its housemate's name, let's say Leo.
Then they'd show the listening cat a picture on a screen. And here's the kicker. When the picture was of the wrong cat, the listening cat would stare at the screen for significantly longer. That longer stare is a classic sign of a violated expectation. It basically means the cat was thinking, wait a minute, you said Leo, but that's not Leo.
Just let that sink in for a second. Nobody actively taught them this. Simply by observing you and listening to you day after day, your cat has quietly created a social map of your entire home. They know who is who. It's an incredible display of silent learning.
And that brings us to our final phrase. And this one is different from all the others. It's not about a treat. It's not about discipline. This one is about the entire foundation of your bond with them. When your cat actually responds to you saying, come here, it is so important to understand that they are not obeying an order. That's just not how they're wired. They weren't born understanding these words. Instead, what you're seeing in that moment is a reflection of something much, much deeper. It's something that you've built together over hundreds, maybe even thousands, of tiny little interactions.
Their decision to come to you is the sum total of every time those words led to a gentle scratch, a warm lap, or just a feeling of safety. When they choose to walk towards you, they're not obeying. They are showing you that their history with you has made you a safe harbor worth returning to. So at the end of the day, remember this. Your cat is always listening. They're constantly piecing together their world and your world through your words, your tone, and your actions. Which really just leaves us with one final question to think about. To them, what does your relationship sound like?
Subscribe.